Back to our hometown because of COVID. So for most of us, we haven't.
My name is Drill Sergeant Small Man Syndrome. Now, in a few moments, turn that music down, please. I'm going to introduce you to one of the greatest combat heroes of all time. But before I do that, I got to get you all combat ready, okay? There's going to be a little bit of audience participation, okay? So, we're going to go into battle. And it's gonna get hot. So I need to make sure that you're ready, okay? All right, first things first, I wanna see your war faces. Come on. Come on, Saturday, you can do better than that. Come on. Whoa, that can break a mirror. All right, next thing we're gonna do, folks, you gotta get your weapon of choice to protect yourself. You got a big machine gun? Come on, let me see your machine gun. Get a bazooka? Then you can throw a hot dog at me. Whatever you want, use your imagination. Now the other thing, ladies and gentlemen, with battle comes death, okay? That's the sad fact of life. So I want you to all practice your best Hollywood dramatic death. All right, you sir, what's your name, Robin? Man, that deserves an Oscar. Oh my God. Man, I thought I was good. I mean, I do have an Oscar, man. That's a different story. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's enough from me. Let me introduce to you one of the greatest combat soldiers in history. The one, the only, Mambo.
Joined Army, June 6, 69. Accepted Special Forces. Helicopter and language specialist. Expert in guerrilla warfare and light weapons. Can drive a tank. One of the greatest combat soldiers the world has ever seen. His mission to be a hero. What most people call hell, he calls home.
Yeah. Oh my God. Who took that Coke can over there? The other one too. Recycle it. Hold that up high. Hold it up in the sky. Recycle it. It's a pretty big knife. Flip! Flip! Thank you! Grenades! There's explosions behind you, okay? Adrian? Oh, Adrian, are you there? Adrian! Yatsky! Turn that mic down! Yatsky! Adrian? Yo, Adrian! Adrian, you there? I'm here to rescue you, Adrian. Adrian, you there? Adrian, you there? All right, Adrian, stand back. This is gonna be epic. Adrian, you're tied up. Adrian, your legs are tied up. Come on, Adrian, take my gun. Come on. What's a gun, man? Not a baby. Adrian, we're surrounded by the entire Russian army. There's only one way out, and it's through them. Let's give them hell. Start with a grenade. You go on the right, I'll go on the left. Grenade! Go right! Everybody explode! Come on, give them hell! We have to fight back! Shoot me! Adrian, duck! My best friend. I bet you're really happy that I saved you. Hey, what's that thing you always say when we're deep in battle? That really motivational line. What? Quack, 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 quack. You'll always be different, Adrian. That's what I like about you. All right, let's get out of here, Adrian. Let's blow this joint. Grenades! All right. I think they're all dead. Let's no high fives. Let's slow motion one. Adrian, no, look out! There's an evil Russian with a gun about to shoot you. Whoa! No, Bambo can't express emotion, so Bambo goes to the gym to let off steam.
annoying flies from buzzing in your face. That's what the corks are for. Yeah, guess what's more annoying than flies buzzing in your face? Bloody giant corks just constantly hitting you in the face. If anything, they're bigger and more consistently in your face than flies. Good invention, Australia. Well done. Happy Australia Day. But I do travel all around the world doing festivals, or I used to until I got repatriated back from New York City. And I know it's really sad, I know. But I was doing shows in Edinburgh, the biggest festival there is in the world, and I did 3 shows a day, because I say yes to every show, and I did 3 shows a day for 26 days in Edinburgh, the biggest festival there is, and I did my show that I did here a couple of years ago, called Fire in the Meth Lab. That is a show about my brother becoming a meth head and going to jail. It's pretty light-hearted tale, that one, and surprisingly resonates with Perth audiences. I did my other show, which I'm actually not allowed to say here, but it's called Pretending Things Are Penis, and I did a 3rd show in Edinburgh every day at 3 o'clock every day. They asked me to do a 3rd show, and guess what the 3rd show they asked me to do was? Kids show. Kids show. They thought the meth guy and the penis guy could do a kids show. And I thought I can do a kids show. It's easy. You just don't swear. Kids, they're just like little drunk adults. It's easy. You perform to drunk adults. They just don't swear. Just don't swear. And so I walked out on my first kids show. I walked onto the stage, and it was an audience of about 200 kids. Not bragging, just 200 kids were there. And I walked onto the stage, I started doing my show, and immediately a little kid just stood up in the middle of the audience, walked through the audience, climbed up onto the stage with me here, and just stood here in front of me, just eating a bag of chips. Just went, yep, this is where I eat my chips on stage with you. And I thought, okay, don't worry, you're a professional, it's okay, just keep on going, just keep on going. So I did the rest of the show with just this little kid just eating chips, just looking up at me like that. I've never had anyone look up at me before, but this is just eating his chips on stage with me. And I think, no, you're a professional, just keep on going. And so I get about 15 minutes into a show when I see another kid stand up, walk around the side of the audience just like this, climbs up onto the stage with me, and just starts pushing his back against me like that. This kid's eating his chips, this kid's pushing his back against me, and finally I turn to this kid and just say, what are you doing? And he says, I'm only 7 and I'm almost as tall as you. Biggest laugh I got in 26 kids shows was that kid saying that. And there's nothing worse to bring up childhood bullying than a bunch of under 10-year-olds just going, ha 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 ha, small adult. And I think, no, this is happening. This kid's pushing his back against me. This kid's just still eating his chips. And I think, no, just keep on going, keep on going. You're a professional, just keep on going. And I think, okay, so I keep doing my show, and then I see another kid walk around the side of the audience. There's a big speaker stack like this, where my voice is coming out of. This kid climbs up the speaker stack and starts scaling the speakers and just holds the speaker where my voice is coming out of, just screams into the speaker, just screams, no! He screams, no! Into the speaker where my voice is coming out of. This is my first kids show. And then I think, you know what, kids, they are a bit like drunk adults, but they're like the ones who just want it to be about them. So I just start talking to the kids. Then every show after that, I just ask them for jokes, like, did you have a joke, mate? You don't have a joke? Did your dad tell you jokes? Oh, well, okay. This sort of thing that happens when you talk to kids. That's going to be in my next little bit about doing kids show. He doesn't have a dad. Okay, let's not talk about that then. But I would ask kids about, but then one kid I said, what's your dad like? He just said, hairy. I thought that was quite funny because my dad is a very hairy man as well. He's one of those men who's got inch-thick hair all over his body, and yet he's bald on top. And we used to tell him to grow his shoulder hair really long and comb that over, but he didn't like that. But I asked kids like knock-knock jokes, like knock-knock. Europe. Kids just like calling me a poo. That's just what happens. But so I did these kids shows, and then the only reason you do Edinburgh, so you might get selected to tour. You might get selected to tour around the UK. And that year, my show was selected. Fire in the Meth Lab. This guy came up to me after the show, and he said, we would like to tour this show. And he gave me the address and a train ticket to the place where I was to be touring to. And I thought I'd be going to comedy clubs and things like that. I get a train to this address that he's given me, and I go to this little place called Easingwold. Now, does anyone know where Easingwold is? Yeah. The population of Easingwold is smaller than the population here right now. It's this tiny little town outside of Yorkshire, and I show up to my address of my venue, and guess what my venue is? Nursing home. A nursing home. And I think, okay, maybe nursing home is a cool name for a comedy club or something like that. I show up to this nursing home and I say, is there a comedy club nearby here? And the nurse just says, no, we've been expecting you. So I have to do my show Fire in the Meth Lab to a bunch of elderly people in a nursing home. Now I need to stipulate now, this is a nursing home. Not an old folks home, not a retirement village, no sexy old ladies like Golden Girls, none of that. This is a nursing home where the audience are wheeled out in front of me, and most of them just sit in their chairs like this. And I think, no, you've been selected to do it, you're a professional, just do your job. So I start to do my show. And as soon as I start talking, there's an old lady in the very front row who just thinks I'm a visiting relative. So she just starts talking to me throughout the show. She's like, oh, how are you? I'm like, I'm fine. She's like, you've gotten bigger, which is untrue. I've been the same size since I was 7, just talking to me throughout the whole show. And then she's talking to me, and then there's a woman next to her just sitting like that, and she turns to her and just looks at her and says, he's handsome, isn't he? And this woman who hasn't even looked in my direction just goes, and then just mumbles, too short, too short, too short. She doesn't even look at me. She doesn't even know where I am. I could be in the distance for all she knows. So this woman thinks I'm a visiting relative. This woman thinks I'm too short. And then there's an old man up the back who's just decided to touch and say no after everything I'm saying. So I continue on with my show, and he's just like, no, 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 like this, no, 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 the whole show. And I'm sitting around saying, no, no, just be a professional, just do your show. And then this old lady in the middle of the audience, she just raises her hand like this. And I go, okay, I guess this is where this is going. Yes? She says, I don't know what's going on. Can you take me home, please? And I said, I don't know, I think you are home, I don't know what that means. And then the woman who thinks I'm a visiting relative, she says, press your buzzer, love. They've got all these little buttons hanging around, chains around their necks, and this woman presses her little button, and then a nurse comes in and wheels her away. Then can you guess what happens? Buzzers going off through the entire audience just wheeled out of the room. There's 3 people left. The woman who thinks I'm a visiting relative, the woman who thinks I'm too short, and the old man saying no. He's decided to stay for the entirety of the show, just still go, no, 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 I like this, no. And I finished the show, I'm a professional, ready to cry. And I say, thank you very much at the end of the show. And the woman who thinks I'm a visiting relative, standing ovation from her, standing ovation, which is amazing because she's in a wheelchair. And as they were wheeling away, the woman who thought I was too short, the nurse just says, did you enjoy that, love? And finally this woman turns her head and just says, it was better than sitting in my room alone. So it's good to be back performing in Perth, is what I'm saying. It's good to be performing here. You guys are wonderful audiences. I went to keep going and just seeing a bunch of shows. Keep seeing a bunch of shows, take a chance on a show. I always say this during festivals, to just go out and pick something and see it, because you know what? You might find something really great. You know what else? It's a Fringe festival, so you also might find a train wreck. And I tell you something right now, you see a good show, you talk about that show for about 20 minutes afterwards. See a train wreck? Talk about that show for years afterwards. Last year I saw a show where a guy lays an egg. And just think about that, literally lays an egg in that show. You go and find your egg show is what I'm saying, but I did go to a magic show the other night, and there was music playing. The magician walked out on stage, he just went like this, and the music stopped, and the people in front of me just went, oh, he's good. This is why I like Perth audience. Your expectations are very, very low for everything, so please come and check out one of my shows. Thanks very much, everyone.
Give it up for John Bennett once again, everyone. John Bennett playing all of the show. Attachment recognised at the Rifles Hall at the Girls' School. And here's a hot tip for you. I have a show.
Singer, a very famous pianist. His name is Fats Waller, and he was really hot in his day. He was doing a gig and just having a little break. Now, he was just outside the club, and this gangster walks up to him, and the gangster gets a gun and sticks it in his stomach and says, "Oi, you're coming with me." They put a blindfold over him and they shovel him into a car. The next thing he knows, they take the blindfold off and he's in a very large club. About this many people, but they're all gangsters. Everyone is a gangster. And they tell him to sit down in the corner and start to play. He's very scared, but he sits down in front of the piano with shaking hands and he starts to play a song. And somehow he manages to get through this song. And at the end of the song, he notices the most famous gangster in the world at that time. His name is Al Capone. He's a scary man, done some bad things. And Al Capone's looking at him, and he walks down the stairs, walks over to Fat Swallow. He comes up on the stage, sits down next to him at the piano, and he said,
"Thank you so much for coming to play at my birthday party. I love your music, and it's such a wonderful surprise to have you here."
he was so excited to see Fat Swallow. He's his biggest fan. So Fat Swallow decides, oh, I'm not going to die tonight. And Al Capone puts a fresh $100 bill into his pocket and then walks away, quite happy. Fat Swallow takes the money out of his pocket because he'd never seen a $100 bill before, and he thinks to himself, oh my God, you know, that's the scariest gig I've ever done, but very well paid. $100 in 1925 was a lot of money. Anyway, the show goes on. He does another song. Another gangster comes up to him, another $100. Another song, another $100. This goes on and on and on and on. And the show goes on without stopping for 36 hours. Can anyone tell me? I don't know how much money that would be, but, you know, more than I make in a year, that's for sure. Anyway, he goes home at the end of the night very happy, taken home in a chauffeur-driven limousine, and he goes home a very rich man. So that's Fat Swallow's story. So we're going to do a little song by Fat Swallow now, and this song is called Lulu's Back in Town. Gotta get my own tuxedo pressed. Gotta sew a button on my vest, 'cause tonight I gotta look my best. Lulu's back in town. Gotta get a $50 somewhere. Gotta shine my shoes and slick my hair. Gotta get myself a boutonniere. Lulu's back in town. You can tell all my pets, all my Harlem coquettes, Mr. Otis regrets that he won't be around. You can tell the mailman not to call. I ain't coming home until the fall, and I might not get back home at all. Lulu's back in town. Get my own tuxedo pressed. Gotta sew a button on my vest, 'cause tonight I gotta look my best. Lulu's back in town. Gotta get a $50 somewhere. Gotta shine my shoes and slick my hair. Gotta get myself a boutonniere. Lulu's back in town. You can tell all my pets, all my Harlem coquettes, Mr. Sid regrets that he won't be around. You can tell the mailman not to call. I ain't coming home until the fall, and I might not get back home at all. Lulu's back in town.